All right, everyone, welcome back to episode 5.
She can definitely name all the teams in the NFC West and the AFC West. She can definitely name like the major teams, the historic teams. If she's gonna get hung up, it's gonna be on one of the newer teams, like the Texans or the Jags or the Titans. You know, but most of the teams, like teams in the Southeast, that she doesn't see very often. But she can definitely name, if not all of them, the majority of the teams in the league. And but I don't want to ask my mother to do that. She has no interest in our fantasy football league.
But she has interest in you as her son.
No, not in that capacity. No, she doesn't.
That's not it.
The only interest she has is you should be doing something better with your time. Like that's what she thinks. I'm going to be honest. Listen, this is a football and fantasy football related podcast. I can tell you exactly what my mother thinks. She thinks fantasy football is stupid and doesn't understand it.
My mom, I would be drafting last, I think.
I think Ruth would hang the phone up. She would be like, "Is this what you're doing?" Like, she'd be like, "Anyways, let's talk about important matters like when are you coming to see me next? We need help moving everything in this house."
What are you investing in?
Yeah, what's your stock portfolio look like? Is your 401k growing? Like that's all she's thinking about. How's the cat? Like that's
I mean, that's important. All right, well, moms are out there. Shout out moms. Maybe that's an idea for your league
love
if you
my
can't
mom.
figure it out.
Love
if you all
my
have football
mom.
moms,
Listen, I love my mother. I love the mothers out there. I'm a big mother lover. But speaking from my personal experience with the mothers in our league that I know, I don't think that's a go. I think that's a no-go.
Okay.
So after that start, let me hit you with this. Last week, you kind of surprised me there with a little trivia question. Well, I got one for you. Okay, I'm coming back with a vengeance. Now, this one's been around social media a little bit in the past week or two, so you may have picked up on it. But here it is. Cue the Jeopardy music editor.
That's me. I got it. 1 sec.
Which quarterback?
Yes.
Since 2016,
yes,
has the most fourth quarter comebacks in the NFL? You get 3 guesses.
The most fourth quarter comebacks
in the NFL since 2016.
The most fourth quarter. Okay, I'm going to start off with a bet. Is it Aaron Rodgers?
No.
I'm going to say someone lesser than Aaron Rodgers then, because it's probably not as obvious an answer. I'm going to say for my second pick, is it Kirk Cousins?
It is not. You are down to your final choice.
The most fourth quarter comebacks is 2016. I feel like it's something not obvious, so I want to stay away from better QBs.
15 seconds.
Okay. I'm going to say...
Beep, beep, beep. We need an answer.
I'm going to say... I don't know who it is.
Former quarterback of the Las Vegas Raiders and current quarterback of the New Orleans Saints out of Fresno State, Derek Carr has the most fourth quarter comebacks since 2016. 33, I believe, was the number.
That's a giant number.
It's a massive number.
That's a giant number.
Yeah. It's in 7 years to have like I think it was 32-33. I could be wrong on the exact number, but I heard that on I was listening to a different podcast and I was like, I'm going to use that. I'm going to steal
2
it.
seasons worth of games he's covered.
Yeah. Fourth quarter comebacks. That's conveniently enough, he has 32 wins since 2016 too. So it's the same amount of wins. No. New Orleans Saints, you got yourself a fourth quarter baller. But I thought that was an interesting one when I heard it. I figured it would be a nice way to start the show. Maybe could have saved that for the NFC South preview, but what the hell. So this week, yeah, I mean, tough to only get Devontae Adams for 1 year and then be gone, but it is what it is. So the AFC East, a lot of movement in this division. A lot of exciting things in this division. Last week we did the NFC East. Yeah, very good division.
I think a very strong division this year.
I would make the argument, and I might say this for about 3 divisions this year, that this is the best division in football. I may have made the argument last week, but after looking at this one,
someone timestamp this for all the rest of the previews.
Yeah, there might be 2 or 3 other divisions that also get this moniker throughout our preview segment. But for this week, week 5 of the podcast, AFC is going to be the best division in football this year. So we've got the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the New England Patriots, and the New York Jets. Okay, just keep getting more and more Italian all the way through it. So, which team do you want to start out with, Peter, my illustrious co-host?
I think the obvious choice for the division champion, I think we start with the Buffalo Bills.
We start high because we went low to high last time.
Yeah,
so
I think we start with the Bills. Bills.
Okay. You want to go first on the previews, or you want me to take the lead on this sucker?
Feel free. Jump in.
All right, here we go. Buffalo Bills Who doesn't love the Bills Mafia jumping through tables? We're eating hot dogs, just slamming glizzies over in Buffalo, drinking lots of beer, eating a lot of buffalo wings, as it were. Key additions in the offseason, they brought in some running back depth, the Buffalo Bills did. Damian Harris comes over from New England, and Latavius Murray, some people might have forgot about him. He comes over from Denver to add to their running back room to try and take a little bit of pressure off Josh Allen. It gets snowy and cold up there in Buffalo in late season. Kind of got to be able to run the football a little bit to protect your quarterback. I think that's going to help them. I'm going to be doing with this division breakdown. I'm going to be doing a rookie spotlight for each of these teams, where I have one or two rookies maybe on their teams that I got my eye on. Like I might be a little excited about them. So my rookie spotlight for the Buffalo Bills, and who I believe may be a sleeper in fantasy football. If you're looking for a tight end, Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. Now, as a Pac-12 college graduate and fan, Dalton Kincaid is the bane of my existence as a Cougar fan. He has lit up the Cougars every time he's played the Cougars. And Dalton Kincaid is one of the best tight ends from this draft class. He's long, he's tall, he's fast, he runs like a gazelle. He's kind of one of those split out tight ends like a Kyle Pitts, maybe not quite as athletic or fast, but I think he's going to be a great matchup to pair with a Dawson Knox who's coming off an injury, and obviously the Diggs at wide receiver. I mean, they've got weapons out there in Buffalo. They've added to their defense as well. Two key additions. They added a couple more in the front seven, but two key additions I want to highlight. Poona Ford comes over from Seattle. I'm a big Poona Ford fan. He's like 5'10", 310. He's just this bowling ball in the middle of the line to stop the run. Really like Poona Ford, plays with a high motor. And then conversely, very familiar with rooting against this guy, Leonard Floyd comes over from the LA Rams, and he had some really, really good games for the Rams at linebacker, as a rush linebacker. I think those were two nice pickups to pair with who they already have in place there in Buffalo's defense. Last season they were 13-3, the second seed in the AFC. They did have one game called off due to injury, as we all know.
God, I forgot about that.
They are, yeah.
So crazy, man.
Shout out to the Bills medical team, by the way. They actually received an award.
Really?
Yeah, they were for, I believe it was an ESPY or something along those lines, for sports support of the year, something along those. I read an article about it, but I can't quite remember the award organization. But they did receive an award because of the way they handled that emergency situation. I mean, they saved that young man's life, and hats off to those doctors and trainers.
Was that the craziest, the craziest event that you've ever seen in live sports?
One of the craziest events, yeah. Involving human life, yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys get carted off, serious injuries, things of that nature. I've been at games where guys have gotten carted off. It's always scary because you really never know. But for that one specifically, for a player's heart to stop, I mean, I've seen that happen in basketball, and it's scary because you don't know if they're coming back.
Right.
So that would have been an unprecedented thing. It already is an unprecedented thing. It would have been even more so if he had lost his life. But fortunately, he is back. He's expected to make a full recovery and actually come back and play football again, which is incredible.
Yeah.
They are
that's a bold
favored.
choice.
Hey, you know what? If it is what it is. You know, if you love what you do, go for it. You know, if the doctors clear him to play again, they clear him to play. He is the Bills are favored in all of their games except 3 of them. They have one game that a line hasn't come out yet. Those 3 games they're not favored in: Kansas City, Cincinnati, Philadelphia. Pretty good lineup. They have a very tough schedule. where their non-division games are against the AFC West and the NFC East. So they go against the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Broncos, the Raiders, the Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and Washington Commanders. That's an incredibly tough out-of-division schedule because of how strong those divisions are this year. So I think ESPN might be giving Buffalo a little too much kudos. I'm going to be honest. They went 13-3 last year. Obviously, it would have either been 14-3 or 13-4 if that game had been played to the finish. I have them taking a slight step back, right? I think it's going to be either an 11-6 or 12-5 year for the Bills. Still a very good, respectable record. I still have them either at or close to the top of the division, depending on how some of these other teams play out. But they have a very tough schedule, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Bills drop some close games to some of these good teams. You know, Dallas, they got to play the Chargers, they got to play Miami in their division, the Jets with Aaron Rodgers, the New England Patriots. I mean, those three games are not favored and are all non-division games. So ESPN has them favored in nearly all of their division games. I believe the one that doesn't have a line released is against Miami at the end of the year. But I mean, they have some very, very tough games. And so, yeah, I think they're the best team, but it's very, very close with some of the other teams in this division.
They play the Eagles, the Chiefs, and the Cowboys 3 games in a row.
Yeah.
3 games in a row over the holidays.
And by the way, Cincinnati's on their schedule too.
Yeah.
And I believe the Ravens might be on their schedule, if I'm not mistaken. Or it's either the Ravens or the Steelers.
I don't see the Ravens. I don't know how much that matters. Like you said, excuse me, the schedule is difficult. They just how many times can they go to the postseason, fail out? So what kind of endurance does it? How can you keep going so far and falling so short every time, and still carry that same? Before people get tired, right? Of okay, it's not going to happen here. We want to go somewhere else. How do you keep the locker room happy? But I mean,
listen, their core group of guys is still relatively young, outside of maybe Von Miller. So I don't think it's an exhaustion thing just yet.
I also mean mental exhaustion, just
yeah, I know.
Staff.
I don't think that's an exhaustion thing just yet.
If 4 times in a row is that's tough.
Yeah, but they've never been to it's not like they've been to the Super Bowl and lost. There's a lot of teams that make the playoffs regularly that don't go to the Super Bowl every year. So, I mean, just ask the Dallas Cowboys.
I mean, it's exhausting watching them. That's what I say.
The most exhausting. Let's not turn this into what I want it to be, which is bashing the Cowboys.
Why not?
What do you have to say about the Buffalo Bills? Let's stay on track.
That is on track. That's always on track. That's always the end.
No, that's what they want you to think. Everything's about the Cowboys. No, it's not. Right now, we're talking about the Bills. We talked about the Cowboys last week.
I think the Bills win the division. I do think they end up in the playoffs again. I do think they end up in double-digit wins. I had them at 13 wins. I think they. It's just going to be. I don't know. I'm kind of interested to see what their running game is going to look like this year. They lost Singletary. They lost our main boy Crowder out at receiver. Is Cook the number one in their depth chart? Yeah. And then Damian Harris.
It's probably going to be Damian Harris. I think Damian Harris is going to be their lead back.
Well, he was one of my favorite players to draft. He was always available late in the in terms of fantasy. He was always available late. He was always a great fill-in. I mean, do you think he overtakes James Cook as the number one running back there?
I think he will be the starter week 1.
Really?
Yeah, James Cook is in his second or third year. Damian Harris has experience as a starter. James Cook wasn't a starter last year.
So does Murray.
Latavius Murray's 30 though, or at least he's got a lot of miles on his tires.
Naeem Hines is there too now as the 4th. I mean, that's It's like
Naheem Hines is your third down scat back. All right. They have a loaded backfield. James Cook has been turnover prone. He's had history in his short history in the league. I can remember watching him just fumble balls. And like you look at him like, what are you doing? So James Cook's an incredibly talented young man. Don't get it twisted. I think that Damian Harris right now is a better running back. I think what you'll most likely see is Damian Harris in the starting role, with James Cook as that support back, and then Naheem Hines as that scat back passing down, back if they need something like that.
And returns punts too. Yeah.
He might, although they might be having Diggs do that too. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But Latavius Murray, if he gets in this game at all, I think it's going to be goal line 4th and 1 situations. I don't think it's going to be. He's going to be that guy sniping touchdowns from your starter.
Sniping touchdowns from the starters. Yep. Yeah.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting. I mean, their receiving core is obviously solid.
Well, they have one really good receiver, and then pieces to go with it.
I always thought the receiving core was decent. I mean, Diggs obviously number one, but I always thought Gabe Davis was a decent receiver too.
Gabe Davis, he has his days, but he's not consistent.
Yeah, I think they win the division. I don't think the Dolphins have this like crazy blowout year where they just run everybody. Like I think they're getting attention, as such. I think they, as far as just like overall balance between both sides of the football, I think they take the division and then have an extremely difficult postseason as they always do. Has much changed on their coaching end?
Let's say AFC. Anybody in the AFC? No. They actually extended their GM and their head coach recently. Yeah. It doesn't matter. Let me just put it this way: if you make the playoffs in the AFC, it's going to be a tough road no matter who you are. The AFC is absolutely stacked this year, and we've got great quarterbacks all over the place, MVP candidates all over the place. Especially with Aaron Rodgers changing sides from the NFC to the AFC. I mean, we'll talk about him a little later, but yeah, it's going to be a tough go for whoever's going to do it.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on to it. Doesn't seem like there's been like there's been no like super dramatic change in personnel, just pieces and parts getting moved around. So it's kind of like a boring review, I guess, but there's not much to highlight in my opinion. That's super noteworthy. They're going to be good from a fantasy perspective. I'm definitely going to be drafting players from their team. I think the choices are obvious. Diggs, Allen, defense probably. I'm not in love with
the Bills defense, fantasy wise, but heed my advice, folks. Keep an eye on Dalton Kincaid if you need a tight end and you're in the middle of the late rounds. I think he's a sleeper that you might want to consider. All right, next up on the list.
Knox had a lot of injuries last year. I feel like he was on.
Yes, he did.
Much of the
yes, he did, and quite frankly, Josh Allen needs a security blanket that isn't a deep ball. He needs somebody he can dump it off to that can run a crossing route and is big enough and strong enough to make the hit. And Dawson Knox, well, he's incredibly he's an incredibly effective NFL tight end. Dalton Kincaid, I think, is a better pass catcher than Dawson Knox. I think he's just a more gifted athlete. I could be wrong, but I watched that guy play in college, and he lit it up against some very good teams. So I think he's going to be just fine in Buffalo. Probably, for my money, the best performing rookie tight end in this class. So the next team on the list, if we're going off of last year's finish, is those boys down in South Florida, the Miami Dolphins. Peter, what do you got on the Dolphins?
I got 2 words for you: concussion protocol. That's what I say. I like the Dolphins last year. I like them again this year. My only concern is at quarterback. If Tua goes down, even briefly, I'm very afraid, as their backups are not that great. obviously, the running back room is great. The wide receiving core is arguably the best in the league. They had a bunch of nice additions on defense. In Ramsey being probably the most notable, right? I mean, I would think so.
Probably. Ramsey's the most notable addition on the team, period. Jalen Ramsey's arguably the best cornerback in the league.
So he's the most notable addition on defense, and as you say, on the team. And I think they are going to improve as long as Mike White's not your starting quarterback.
Well, hey now. Mike White beat out the number 3 overall pick from last year. So let's just pump your brakes on Mike White.
Like I said, if Tua stays healthy, I'm excited for the Dolphins this year. But they do lose. They lost Mike Gesicki, which is a shame because he was hitting the gritty better than anyone I've ever seen.
Well, I don't know. He's going on. We'll talk about him a little bit later in the program, but in the program
they made a lot of moves, man. I think it's a fun team. They're going to be fun to watch. I'm excited. Yeah. I think they were annoying to play. No one really wanted to play them last year. Tyreek Hill does just fine. Their offense is going to be great as long as Tua is healthy. And then I don't know. I guess a lot of it has to do with the defense, but trying to bolster that. So I love their coach. Yeah, man.
What do you got them? What's their win total this year? How many games are they putting under their belt?
The win total that I have for them, initially, I had that, assuming everyone fires at all, all Pistons firing at the right time, I do have them at 10 wins this season.
So they improve by a game.
They do improve by a game because
Jalen Ramsey is worth 1 game. Congratulations,
I think
Jalen.
so. Again, a lot of it rides on the health of their quarterback room with all the concussions.
All right, here's my Miami Dolphins breakdown. Key additions: Mike White in the quarterback room. It is important. It's first on my list. I'll send you a picture of the paper. They need to have a backup. All right, last year, who was the backup quarterback for the Miami Dolphins? I'll wait. Nobody knows. They were freaking no-names. Guys that played a couple downs of football in college, maybe were, undrafted free agents for the Dolphins. Mike White, at the very least, has starting experience in the National Football League and can come in when Tua gets his bell rung and maybe go a couple drives, dinks and dunks, and be okay. He won a couple games last year for the Jets.
He's still a professional quarterback.
He was a starting quarterback for over half the season for the New York Jets because they had a kid out of BYU who was too busy hitting on other players' moms. But that's neither here nor there. Second, you mentioned that Mike Gesicki is no longer on the team. What they've done is they brought in 2 tight ends to try and fill that void. Tyler Kroft from Kansas City, longtime backup to Travis Kelce, and Eric Siebert from Denver. They brought him over. I think both those guys are interesting. They're not superstar tight ends, but I think they're good end-line blockers. I think they're good, for play-action dump-offs and stuff. They're not going to be as effective as Gesicki was as jump balls in the red zone, but I think they could be serviceable to try and replace some of that production. Also, this is a key, I think, that the Dolphins did that you didn't mention, but you kind of mentioned, right? What was the most important thing they got to do? Keep Tua upright and on the field. The Miami Dolphins in free agency alone brought in 4 new offensive linemen, led by Isaiah Wynn from the New England Patriots, who was a pretty good offensive tackle. So they're trying to bolster their offensive line so that they could try to protect this young man from getting his bell rung so much. And obviously,
but just like his future health. Should be protecting him just for the sake.
Well, look, it's not our job to protect him into his retirement. It's our job to project what they're going to do next year, and we're worried about wins and losses on the football field. With all due respect to him, he can make his own medical decisions. He has best doctors in the world, I'm sure, consulting with him, as well as his family members, and he's a grown man. He can decide to do what he wants to do. But the next thing is Jalen Ramsey. You mentioned it. I believe this is the biggest change to this team. Oftentimes with the Dolphins last year, they got into shootouts, and we saw that against the Bears when they just kept scoring back and forth and back and forth. I think this is huge because the Dolphins had a very good front seven last year. They have a very, very good defensive line. I think, and they had one really good corner in Xavier Howard. Now they put Jalen Ramsey with that. This might be the Eagles have an argument for this too, but this might be the best cornerback duo in the league right now. Last year they finished 9-8. This year ESPN projects them to finish 9-8. I think they're going to be a little bit better than that. I got them either at 10-7 or 11-6. And then I do have a little note here.
Bump.
Yeah. And I did forget to mention my rookie spotlight for this Miami Dolphins team. You mentioned their running back room. It's kind of a play by committee, with Mostert and some of the other guys.
Like Mostert and Wilson, right?
Yeah, they got the Mostert, basically the 49ers second string guys are coming back. But they drafted a young man out of Texas A&M named Devon Achane, which is one of the most badass running back names you could have. This young man is fast, speed. That is what he's known for. If he's playing and they've got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, this could be the fastest team in the National Football when they're all on the field together. So that's going to be a nightmare for defenses. It was a nightmare last year. So I have a note here. I'm projecting them at either 10-7 or 11-6. I do have a note here. Tua injured, 7-10 or 6-11. So that's our drop off. Mike White can still win a couple games, but he's not going to get. I had a
lot based around Tua's health.
Yeah, so I think we agree there would be a drop off, but they would still win some games. They just wouldn't be very good. Next up, if we're going off order, the New England Patriots, the New York Yankees, essentially, of the National Football League. Bill Belichick still trying to get back in the win column since Brady left. He's actually 500 as a head coach without Tom Brady. Not very good. But a couple things about New England, all right, that you might not know. They have a very exciting young QB room. What do I mean by that? Well, obviously we all know Alabama. He's their starting quarterback for now, but some of us were introduced to Bailey Zappi last year, the gunslinger out of Western Kentucky, set a whole bunch of records for throwing the ball all over the yard. They also have a young man that you college football fans might know, Trace McSorley. You remember him out of Penn State, lit it up at Penn State when he was there. He's in their quarterback room. And then they have a rookie this year. Now, you might not know his name off the top of your head. His name's Malik Cunningham. Well, why is Malik Cunningham, what does he have significance? He was the quarterback at Louisville last year. You know who else went to Louisville? Lamar Jackson. Interesting fact about Malik Cunningham. He broke the record for the most rushing touchdowns in Louisville school history. He broke Lamar Jackson's career record last year. So we're talking about a very, very athletic young man, just like Lamar Jackson. Is that where Bill's kind of moving? If Mac Jones falters, he has his options in front of him of young quarterbacks to see, maybe let's take some chances, see what we got. I think that's a very under-talked about and exciting thing that I'm going to keep an eye on this year. It's going to be a crapshoot in New England. I think Bill's rolling the dice to see what he's got. But he did add some weapons. Juju Smith-Schuster comes over from Kansas City. Mike Gesicki, you mentioned him earlier. He comes over from Miami. That adds some weapons for Mac Jones or whoever else is playing. I think that's going to be good. And my rookie watch for the New England Patriots, a lot of people had this as the steal of the NFL draft in the first round. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Some people had him as a top 2 corner in the draft. This young man is a very, very skilled man-to-man defender. In Bill Belichick's system with his tutelage, the sky's the limit for that young man as long as he performs well. Last year, they were 8-9, so not great. But ESPN, holy smokes, ESPN has the Patriots favored in just 4 games this year. That's it.
Why?
4
that
games. That's all they're favored in.
That's awfully low. I have their schedule in front of me. That seems awfully low.
I was a little surprised, right? But it's 4 games. It's the obvious teams if you go through their schedule.
Colts?
I think no. I believe it's Colts.
Steelers?
Nope, they're not favored against the Steelers.
Really?
They're not. Commanders is on that
Saints?
list. Maybe. It's like you can look on ESPN and check. I didn't write it
4?
down, but only
That's
4 games. Only 4 games are favored in
that's
this
a
year.
pretty disrespectful
That those are
record
games
with the
that have
coach there.
lines, by the way.
Uh,
Well, listen, the coach is the coach. You got to look at the players too.
No, I know.
You
I
know,
mean, it's
I think
it's
they'll
not
do
like he's
better than
new.
that. I think they'll do better than that. I think 7-10 or 6-11. I think it's a drop off from last year. I think in large part because of their division around them getting better. I think the division around them improves more than they do right now, and so I got them at 7-10 or 6-11 this year.
I had them at 8 wins. And
So
I think
repeat.
I think part of that too is that teams aren't fearing the Patriots like they used to. So I think there's some mystique gone. It's not as it's not as simple as like players and
But
coaching and strategy.
you're
It's
higher
like,
on them than I am, though.
yeah, but it's not good. Like they're not. I don't have them at double-digit wins. I do think some of their mystique is gone with Tom gone, and I think teams and staff and players alike are starting to mentally be like, okay, it's not the same team.
No.
So I do have them at 8 wins. I am excited from a fantasy perspective for Juju Smith-Schuster being added to the roster. I am excited that Ramondre Stevenson is in now. Not that he wasn't last year, but I think he's going to have a big year as well.
I think he's much more solidified as a
Yes.
fantasy option, a running back.
Last year there was a lot of
Damian Harris was.
Who's going to take it this week?
That.
Who's going to take it this week? And I don't think it's going to be that way at all.
Yeah.
I don't have them high up in this division. 3rd or 4th place finish behind the Dolphins, and next team we'll talk about. But it's
I think Mike Gesicki's sneaky top 10 tight end this year.
Really?
Sneaky top 10. Who's he going to throw the ball to in the red zone? Probably not going to be Juju.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking at this going. I guess he still has Hunter Henry on the team.
Yeah, but is Hunter Henry a better tight end than Mike Gesicki? I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't know enough about him as far as the comparison goes.
Hunter Henry has never been the sole
tight end. They lost Nelson Aguilar. They lost Jacoby Myers. Damian. I mean, does that mean that Juju gets kind of elevated to like number 1 target across the board now? Because they lost pretty much like he's probably the best receiver on the team now. I don't think you could make a case for Devontae Parker to be better than him. I think the quarterback throwing to him is worse. So who knows?
I think it's probably going to be Devontae Parker 1, Juju 2. Juju being the leader, right? Veteran leader, been to the one just coming off a Super Bowl win.
Yeah.
So he knows what it. And he just came from a Super Bowl team. So he kind of, how many guys on that New England Patriots team have won a Super Bowl? There's probably not many holdovers from when Tom was there. Yeah,
maybe some.
It's probably Bill, and that's about it. Maybe a couple other members of the coaching staff and the training staff. Yeah.
Backups. I don't have them very high. I don't have them any higher than 3rd place in this division. Don't think they necessarily take a step back, but I don't think they necessarily take a step forward.
Well, I'll just save you the trouble. I got them last in the division.
Okay.
I'll save you the trouble. I think they're the worst team in the AFC East this year. But look, it's not smart to bet against Bill Belichick, but it has been smart to bet against him when he doesn't have Tom Brady.
Yeah.
I mean, outside of that Matt Castle year where they're coming off a year where they went undefeated in the regular season, Brady gets hurt, Matt Castle leads them to an 11-5 record. Outside of that, without Brady, he's a 25-25 head coach. He's a 500 coach. So unless Mac Jones turns into the Brady 2.0 or one of these young quarterbacks that I mentioned has a breakout season, I think it's going to be a hard road for the New England Patriots. I think their defense will be solid just because Bill Belichick's a defensive coach and they tend to be solid, but I don't know how they're going to score points. It's going to be interesting.
I'm the least excited for this team out of the entire division. Like when I watch them this year, I feel like this is going to be one of the games that I watch because it's on, not because I want to. Nothing about them excites me right now.
Unless I've got, Ramondre Stevenson in my
Right.
lineup.
The only player fantasy perspective that would be interesting to me is Ramondre Stevenson, and then maybe Juju.
I like Gesicki over Juju in terms of a pick, but I'm right there with you. Maybe their defense, but that is a tough division to be in defensively. All right, next on the list, the New York Jets. 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 Peter, take it away.
My first question, since you have the, I didn't write down the ESPN. How many games does ESPN have them winning this year?
Oh gosh, they are favored. ESPN loves the Jets this year. ESPN has the Jets favored in 10 games. And that does not include 2 games that don't have lines out yet, which is the Eagles and the Browns.
So I had them at 10-7 or 7-10. No in between. they're either gonna have a lot of growing pains, or
to put that in perspective, they went 7-10 last year with Mike White at the helm. Just to put that in perspective.
Yeah. Aaron Rodgers is the clear and obvious, major change in this year's team. It's kind of crazy that he did get some of his demands as far as other players, getting Hazard the Lazard and Randall Cobb coming over. I think Mecole Hardman coming over is going to be really, really cool as well. They still have Garrett Wilson and Corey Davis. I don't know much about the running backs. The Jets aren't teams that I typically draft from. So as far as I know, Breece Hall gets a lot of love, but the other names on there, I'm just not super familiar with them. I don't know how to get excited about the running back room. Maybe that's naive. I don't know. Aaron Rodgers is going to make a difference regardless. People are going to be more excited to go to work when they go and play games. So I do think that people are going to be playing harder for them. I do like the Jets defense a lot, as far as just across the board. They were good. They were decent last year. I think a lot of the same folks are coming back from what I was reading, but I think they're going to be good, man. I just don't. I don't know how you bring. I don't know how you bring Aaron Rodgers to a team. I know he's a little bit older, but they have had such a tumultuous time, let's say, at the quarterback position in recent years. So it's like, how does a team not get excited? And he got people that he wanted on the team to come with him. So I don't know. I don't know how much growing pains affects them. It's not a team I know too much about the coaching staff with, but I think Aaron wins you at least 2 more games, 3 more games. Maybe that's undercutting it. I think he's worth a lot. So I do think they beat the Patriots out. It's a team I'll be drafting from this year for sure. A lot, at least caring more. The players,
which is a huge event for this young man. Okay, all right. Bears Jets were like no go. Bears Jets Texans, we don't even sniff those.
I skip them every time.
So for him to say, hey, I'm gonna look at them. Take notes, fantasy football fans. Take notes. The commission's looking at the Jets real hard.
Yeah. So I like it. I like them. I'm excited to see. We'll see what. I just don't know how growing pains will affect them, which is why either having them exceeding expectations or it's just going to be a training year. They have some great wins, but not everyone's on the same page quite yet.
Okay. Well, I think, we're going to touch on a lot of similar points here. First on my list, it's obvious. Aaron is on the Jets, folks. That's right. The multi-time MVP Super Bowl winner from Green Bay, Wisconsin to New York. It's going to be a little bit of a transition culture shock-wise. Hopefully the Jets have restocked on ayahuasca and they have enough in there for everybody. The wide receiver room, we mentioned a couple names. Randall Cobb, he could come in there and I guess be a player coach because he's probably not going to see the field.
He's going to be
Mecole Hardman.
Exactly. Mecole Hardman is my favorite addition.
Mecole Hardman's going to be a nice little weapon, scat guy, quick guy. I think that could be a nice little fun play toy for Aaron Rodgers. One thing you may not have mentioned, The New York Jets added 6 offensive linemen in free agency. Just throwing that out there. 6 offensive linemen. They might want to protect Aaron Rodgers. Just maybe. Just maybe. You mentioned the running back room. You weren't really sure. Breece Hall came to mind. Well, I got my rookie spotlight. Boom, boom. Here we go. 2 of them. 2 rookie running backs that you should probably keep your eye on if you're a New York Jets fan. The first one from the Pac-12, he played at Oregon and then transferred, played at USC his final year. Travis Dye, very good running back. He had some injuries his senior year, but he's a solid running back. He's got that signature no glove look, the way that he runs a football. I think that's kind of cool. But my favorite one of the 2, because I watched him play and he was a hard-nosed physical runner, just ran for a whole bunch of yards from Pitt. His name is Israel Abanikanda, and I like this young man. I think he could compete for the starting job with Breece Hall, depending on Breece Hall's injury status. I know he was dealing with it off and on a little bit last year, so it'll be interesting to watch. I think it'll be running back by committee for sure. And probably the most important addition to the New York Jets, we've touched on it last week, and we're going to touch on something similar this week. The New York Jets got a new punter, Peter. Thomas Morstead is the new starting punter for the New York Jets, and oh boy, is that going to make an impact. Thomas Morstead, an excellent punter. He's going to help out with field position, with this young defense needs. Aaron Rodgers likes it. Hey, let's go pin him back. Give me a short field. I like it. New York Jets, I did forget to mention with the Patriots, they have 2 punters, 2 kickers, and 2 long snappers on that roster. Bill Belichick prepared for everything, special teams-wise. New York Jets, by the way.
All right, I'm changing my ending record for the Patriots. I'm adding 3 games. I didn't know they had 2 of every position. The Noah's Ark of the AFC East. Let's get it going.
That's 2 of everything, baby. They got 4 quarterbacks. It doesn't matter. We're doing it.
They draft like some players we know in our league. 4 quarterbacks, 2 punters. Let's do this thing.
Yeah. Everyone has that person in the league. I'm going to go get Joey Sly first round. Not even Tucker. Joey Sly first
Blake
round.
Bortles still getting drafted.
Yeah, 100%. Not even in the league. Somehow he's still on the free agent list. They were 7-10 last year, the Jets were, with Mike White at the helm. Aaron Rodgers is there now. That's good for something, guys. He's still got some gas in the tank. I draft Aaron Rodgers most years just because I know what I'm going to get. He's going to sling the rock around. He's probably not going to turn it over very often. I think this Jets team, outside of the running back room and the wide receiver room, is more talented than what he had at Green Bay. The running back room, not even close, but the receiver room, much more talented. And we know Aaron's got that gun, man. He can sling that rock with the best of them. If that offensive line that they're piecemealing together can protect him, the Jets could be formidable because they do have a good defense. I got them at 10-7 or 11-6. Now, folks at home, if you've been paying attention, and Peter, if you have been paying attention, you may have noticed a trend in my records for the AFC East. Let me recap. Buffalo Bills, I have them at 11-6 or 12-5. Miami Dolphins, 10-7 or 11-6. New York Jets, 10-7 or 11-6. What am I saying here? The top 3 teams in this division are all very close in my eyes. It could go one way or the other, and it's going to depend on who meshes best. I think this division is up for grabs. I think the Bills, I'm leaning towards them. I picked them to win for now.
It's a safe pick. Bills.
It's the safe pick right now. But you just inserted Aaron Rodgers into this division. Not for nothing. Aaron Rodgers is easily the most decorated and experienced quarterback in the AFC East. It's not even close. Okay? Man has a Super Bowl ring. I know the Jets have struggled for years, but they've got a solid head coach in Robert Saleh. Their defense has been good, and now they have a man who can run the show. Not to mention, for all you guys poo-pooing the young man from BYU that they drafted last year, what better thing for a second-year quarterback who had a rough rookie season than to learn from Aaron freaking Rodgers for a year or 2? This is going to be a crash course for that young man. If he can play football, they're going to find out because he's going to be exposed to one of the greats, a Hall of Famer in Aaron Rodgers. I think this could go either way. I really like the Dolphins as the team that might surprise us and win the division. I'm picking Buffalo as a safe pick, but I'm not ruling out the Jets on that wild card either. They could have 3 teams out of this division fighting for a playoff spot at the end of the year. That I'm sorry, New England. I don't see it. I think there's just not enough on offense to keep up with these 3 teams. That's just my opinion.
I agree with the point scoring. I think they have just comparing the 4 teams together. To me, they're going to be scoring the on average least amount of points per game compared to the other 3. Assuming all's the best, everyone's firing on all cylinders. I don't know how they're going to score as many points as the Dolphins, for example.
Yeah, New England's going to need games played in the low 20s, or all these other teams can play games where the scores are in the 30s.
Yeah,
I think it's that simple.
I'm excited.
I will say of those top 3 teams, I think, and this might surprise you, I think the Bills have the worst defense of those 3 teams.
Really?
Think about those 2 defenses. The Jets, we just talked about the Jets having a really good defense. Miami just added Jalen Ramsey. That's a huge pickup. They got Xavier Howard on the other side. He's a Pro Bowl corner on both sides. Who the Jets got? Von Miller? He's like 34. Sorry. But we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. That's why I say this. This might be one of the most compelling divisions in football because the fact that I think 3 of those 4 teams could win that division. Could legitimately.
Do you think the Jets could realistically win the division?
Yeah.
Really?
It's plain and simple. This is a quarterback-driven league. Okay, you get the right quarterback in the right situation. For example, look what Tom Brady did at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay was not good before Brady got there. The first year he was there,
bit of an outlier, but yeah.
But Aaron Rodgers, if we want to talk about skill set, he's not Tom Brady, but he's not far off. Right?
At technical skill, I would argue.
Athletically, he might be better.
Yeah, I would argue.
Athletically and physically, he might be better. Brady's just a better winner. But I mean, Aaron's got what 2-3 MVPs. I mean, the guy's insane.
You think he's not going to make a difference in their end of the year record would be insane to say.
All I'm saying is
saying how much of a difference is that going to make.
All I'm saying is, you put that quarterback in that division. Josh Allen's probably the only quarterback that could hold a candle to him. All due respect to Tua, I mean he's all right, but he's not. He's not
but he
Josh
also has
Allen.
An excellent supporting cast, which I think.
Yeah, Tua's probably got the best skill based players around him, followed by Buffalo and then New York. But I think New York has the quarterback that can make more with what he's got than anybody else on this list. So that's what I'm saying. The veteran leadership of Aaron Rodgers that I think could make a huge difference. But there's also another storyline here that I think we haven't touched on, and that I think is just kind of hilarious. Aaron Rodgers is just Brett Favre 2.0. Started at Green Bay, won a Super Bowl with Green Bay Hall of Famer, goes to the Jets. Where have we seen that before? If he ends up on the Vikings after this, there's something weird going on. Whoever the scriptwriter is in the NFL, you guys got to change up your storylines a little bit. You know what I mean?
You forgot to write the new script and just submit it on paper.
It's like a remake. It's like when they remade Hawaii 5-0 and just re-aired it. You know, they do it with sitcoms all the time. You're like, oh, yeah, Hawaii 5-0 out this week. Hawaii 5-0 is from the 70s. Next thing you know, they're going to have a new Gilligan's Island on. You know, it's going to be crazy.
I'm hoping for Rockford Files to make a comeback.
Oh, baby. I want a new Matlock. That's what I'm shooting for. Yeah, or a Perry Mason. Oh, baby.
There is a new Perry Mason. It's on HBO.
Okay.
It's excellent, but
I'm sure it is. Perry Mason.
Good. It's his origin stories.
Okay. Well, no, I just want a remake. I don't need new Perry Mason, like new storylines. Just remake it. Throw another actor. Yeah, I don't need like an alternate timeline. I don't need the Flash to go back and change the past. You know. It's deep cuts here in the ball bag,
Yeah.
but
we dug deep in the ball.
deep cuts in the ball bag. You like that little the little rookie spotlights though?
I do.
People
I like
gotta
that
keep eyes
addition.
on those rookies.
I do like that
You gotta keep
addition.
an eye on them.
I think that'll help
Those
with the college reviews as well. I think it's a good addition, man. I support it.
Well, the rookies, people forget in fantasy football oftentimes. If they're not drafted in the first round, fantasy football managers rarely look at rookies. Unless they're a top 10 pick, yeah, who cares?
Right.
You got to keep an eye on this because some of these guys going in the second and third round, or sometimes even later, they fit a specific need, that these teams have, and they come in and you kind of watch them and watch the reports coming out, and all of a sudden they don't get drafted in fantasy. In week 1, they dropped 6 catches for 100 yards, and everybody's got a waiver claim in. You know what I mean? So if you're able to snag one of these rookies in the late rounds of your draft, then guess who you've got on the bench? And if he pops off, it's a little sleeper keeper that you might want to consider stashing. Just something to think about, folks.
Especially if you have a large bench, it's someone that you can put, you might not see them do much in the first 4 games, but wait till the back half or back third of the season when you've gotten some experience in, some practice in, and then you might have a starter resting, so the person's filling for a couple games.
Yeah,
one of those
an
awesome flex play down the road.
Yeah, people would use that spot historically on suspended players, like when DeAndre Hopkins got suspended or Deshaun Watson. They would stash those guys, and then week 7 comes around, they're like, "Oh, by the way, I got another receiver 1 on my team, or a new QB1." Everybody's thinking, "Wow, this idiot's been using Kirk Cousins all year. What a dummy!" Oh, Deshaun Watson's in. Gosh darn it! I was favored to win this week, and then all of a sudden, there you go. But no, the AFC East should be very exciting. Legitimately, I believe 3 teams that could win it. And you can't sleep on Bill. He's got to teach these kids up there in New England, and I think they, legitimately, I think Buffalo, Miami are the favorites. New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers. You never know what you're gonna get. At Bill, he's got something up his sleeve, man. He's got deflated footballs and recording practices. He's got all the tricks of the trade up those sweatshirt sleeves.
Yeah.
I'm
excited, man. This is a division that excites me, just like the NFC East. I think this is also going to be a fun one to watch. I think it's just like there's uncertainty at who will finish where, which I think makes divisions more interesting. Just like there's
for sure.
There's like favored choices or safe picks, just like the Eagles were like kind of a safe pick, but also the Cowboys are good, so you never know. The Bills are a safe pick,
the Giants,
but the Dolphins
Daddy Dimes, or watch out for him.
Right, exactly. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like the Jets now have Aaron Rodgers. That makes a huge difference. The Dolphins, assuming Tua stays healthy, it's not a bad team. Like this isn't going to be a walk in the park.
The Dolphins.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, the Bills lost to him last year, didn't they? It was not the one. I'm trying to think. It was an early game. Yeah.
The Dolphins legitimately, and this is what people need to understand, and I mean it when I say this, the Dolphins legitimately could be the best offensive team in the National Football League. That's the level of talent that this team has on their offense. The question mark is, because of history, will Tua stay healthy? That's why they brought in 4 offensive linemen. That's why the Jets brought in 6 offensive linemen, because they've recognized they've got a quarterback that they've got to keep upright. And Aaron Rodgers isn't going to be able to run around. He's getting up there in age. He doesn't have the wheel he used to have, but man, he has a cannon for an arm, and he's got a heck of a receiving core. I think a much better receiving core than he had last year in Green Bay. He's got young running backs. We'll see how good they are. But yeah, this division. This division's going to be fun to watch. I think there's a lot of fantasy relevance in this division.
I agree.
And a lot of star power in this division.
That'll be. I think fans of these stuff to look forward to. Minus Patriots.
Well, don't tell Pats fans that. They think they're in the running every year. They got spoiled. And
yeah, that's wearing off. That's wearing off pretty quick. I'm just letting them know. If they didn't know.
Shout out Dave Portnoy. We all know that you think you're that your guys are going to win it. I'm sure you've got a large bet, a future bet for New England. I'm sure. Responsibly, of course.
Any final notes, concerns, fantasy questions, AFC East questions, other spotlights?
Okay. Over under. Okay. Let's end on this. Over under catches this year for Randall Cobb. 30. Over under 30 catches this year for Randall Cobb. There's 17 games, so that he's got to have like more than 2 a game, or 2 a game on average. Over under 30 catches.
Randall Cobb over 30 is such a stupid number. Dude.
But it's a pretty good line because you're like, is he gonna play? Like I don't know. You know?
Is he even wearing pads under that giant puffy coat? I don't know.
Is he in street clothes? Is he got a headset on?
I'm gonna
Is he running water out to the huddle during timeouts? Like, what is he doing?
I'm gonna say under 30 catches.
The disrespect for this man.
I'm gonna say
utter disrespect for Randall the Goat Cobb. How dare you? How dare you, sir? Just so you know, if you'd have said over, I'd have had another.
Yeah, you would have said the same thing. Wow, big dreams for such a little guy.
Wow, I can't believe you have so much faith in Randall Cobb. He's like 108 years old. Say that you have faith that geriatrics going to catch 30 plus balls. Have you seen their wide receiver? No. I just think it's going to be a funny stat line to watch. It's going to be like, how much you're paying Randall Cobb how much to come in? Is he really going to play? I mean,
I think he's going to be great for the locker room. I think he's going to be great leadership.
I think he is there so that Aaron Rodgers has somebody to smoke ayahuasca with. That's what I think he's there for. You know, he's the blunt roller in that group. Or something of that nature. You know what I mean? You know how Snoop Dogg has his guy that he travels around with.
It's a full-time job.
For yeah. I think that's essentially
Randall
his
Cobb
role.
is the blunt roller of the New York Jets locker room.
Yeah. Not saying he smokes weed. That's not what I'm saying. It's just it's a euphemism for like he's there to like hang out with Aaron and keep Aaron happy. You know what I mean? That's my point.
A shaman, if you will. Yeah.
He keeps Aaron comfortable. It's his sense of familiarity because he has Randall Cobb. Yeah. He's family. He's like, this is Fast and the Furious 27 in New York Jets edition. By the way, New York Jets will be the subject of Hard Knocks this year,
which they don't want apparently.
No, nobody wants that now. Like,
I think the Cardinals
it's pretty. No,
they needed some jersey sales with how crappy those things are.
Yeah, the only thing that did was get Kingsbury modeling contracts. That's about it. And it may have gotten Kyler Murray a G Fuel sponsorship. I don't know, but the point is,
surprised he didn't get his own operator. God,
what
like Odd Job and.
And all he does is just run around like that. Like the only thing, instead of having an assassination, it just changes the way he runs. So he runs like Kyler Murray, like a faster, smaller version of Johnny Depp.
Someone told me, or I read somewhere that Kyler Murray looks like a toddler that just stole your phone when he runs, and I can't unsee 100%.
it. You can't unsee that. All due respect to Kyler Murray, excellent football player.
We'll never be NFL players, so this is for fun.
No,
this
we
is
are
for fun.
Strictly fans and not experts in this at all. We do it for the love of the game. We just love this game. We love watching football, being around football, and we like to think we might know a little bit more than the average. So we figured to put our spin on it. But I'll say this, okay? For the Jets to be favored in more games by ESPN than the Dolphins is just disrespectful. I'm sorry.
What? Maybe ESPN doesn't know what they're doing.
Well,
Disney owns
look
them
at
now,
the
right?
ESPN is in Connecticut. They're in the Northeast, New York team.
That's
I think
crazy.
I think that's what's going on.
That is.
I think
You think they
think
pick
that's what's
those
going on.
just to get people like riled up too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Like, you know,
Oh,
what'd be
yeah.
hilarious.
But
man?
well, but not only that, if you look at the Vegas odds makers, I think the Jets have like the 6th highest odds to win the Super Bowl next year because Aaron Rodgers went, and then everybody was like, "Oh, money on the Jets." And I was like,
That's a terrible bet.
What a Aaron Rodgers! Look at your value, my friend.
Well, I think that's a good. I feel like that's a good stopping point. That is our review of the AFC East.
We're gonna end it. We're gonna end it the right way.
What's up?
J-E-T-S.
Gary V's probably stoked. Big Jets fan over there for Gary V.
You gotta hustle. They're gonna have to hustle. You know.
I don't know why the Jets aren't at garage sales right now.
Dude, if they're not garage sailing, they don't know what they're doing.
Quit your job as an NFL wide receiver and go garage selling. You're making $10 million.
How are you going to afford? How are you going to afford this $300 million salary cap? I'll tell you how. We're going garage selling, guys. We're going to make this.
I can't wait.
We're gonna.
I can't wait for him and A-Rod to hang
Oh
out.
man, him on primetime is going to be insane.
Yeah.
Insane. You know, there's going to be Gary V shots on ESPN Thursday Night Football.
Yes.
Boom, Gary V in a box, like, yeah, doing the discount double check when Aaron Rodgers scores a touchdown. You know, it's just Gary V hitting it. You know what I'm saying?
I will say I am a little bummed that the Jets are not playing Chicago this year. Because I really wanted Aaron to do the double check and the I owned you as a Jet on a different team still in Chicago.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
very upset he's not playing in Chicago.
Hey, look, there still could happen. Super Bowl matchup, Chicago and Jets. Oh my, what a listen!
Wow.
If you go and put $10 on that Super Bowl matchup and it happens, you probably turn that $10 into $20,000.
It's like an ESPN classic.
Yeah. The matchup no one saw coming. ESPN 30 for 30. Jets.
2023 Jets Bears. All right, man. Well, that does wrap up episode 5 of the Ball Bag with our AFC East preview. As always, I'm Peter, aka Nago Stars, and all things socials. To my right, Ugo D, Mr. Tom. What do you got for us? You want to wrap it up?
You guys take care out there. Remember, you guys, we only have, I want to say it's 8 weeks until football season is back. 8 weeks.
It's not
guys.
that long. Really
not. Deep breaths. Deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Meditate, get your mind right, and get ready. Because this shit's about to get heavy. That's the ball bag, folks.